Cool.
All right, now let's see here.
Cool. And when we do this, I guess we'll do a
all right, now let's see here.
a gallery view of the so everybody shows up.
Yeah, I believe so. Let me just come off that one. Trying to get a set on YouTube so that people can log into it. Let's see here.
I'm just on here. I'm just trying to get all the documents queued up.
Okay. Okay. So it looks like, let me try it on my system. It looks like it's an unlisted one already. So, okay. Well, shoot. My own account there. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Looks like we are live. I wish I had something else official to put up there for a live video, but right now I don't.
Maybe you can just put up a share, put up the copy of the agenda.
Oh yeah, that'll be an idea. Let's see. Let's see. See if I have it on this screen. I'm gonna have to send it to myself. Oh no, I know where I can get it. I'm on the Mac as opposed to the desktop. Why is this thing taking so long to log in?
Oh boy, alrighty. Alrighty. Now you said we're live on Facebook too?
No, because I didn't give anybody the Facebook thing. I just gave them the YouTube.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
I don't know that we can go live on both. If we can, then I will. I
All
had,
right. Oh, that's cool.
but yeah, we said Facebook. I mean, we said YouTube on all of our correspondence.
Oh, okay. That'll work. It is live.
Yeah. Yep. We are. Seven, 3, 2, 6, 7, 7.
Oh, it's live. I keep showing up on here.
Yep.
Go ahead. A little video here. Oh, I got my name in there twice.
Let's see.
Alrighty. Megan's here.
Okay, cool.
And there's 2 people on YouTube watching.
That's probably us.
Oh, okay.
I think it counts us.
Okay. Yeah, because I'm looking at it.
Let's see. How do we do this?
Adrian's on the beach.
No, I'm not on the beach.
Okay. I'm trying to find a way to get this. I guess the easiest way to do it is this right here. Trying to get this agenda up.
Just share your screen, right?
Yeah, I'm on the Mac because I'm using the desktop to monitor the YouTube channel.
Well, do you want me to share it on my screen?
Sure. That would save me a step because thingamajig is on all of my my agenda and all that stuff is on my other stuff.
The one you sent on Saturday is the last one, correct? The version 3?
Yes, yeah.
Let's see, what other stuff did you have for this meeting? The RFPs for the aquatic center?
Yeah. Yeah, I have, there's a, looking at the agenda, it's the resolution. State of emergency. The bid award for the 2020 street paving contract, the bid award for the services contract, and then the bid award for the aquatic center services contract.
Okay.
And someone else is logging in.
Yeah, 77756. That looks like a,
Password.
did they make a decision on whether everybody has to show their face?
I think they have to.
That thing sounds like that 177756 looks like a, that looks like the meeting code or something.
Yes, it's the password for the meeting.
So why is that doing that?
They put it in as their name.
Yeah, that's the meeting password.
There's a news story saying a restaurant is giving away free toilet tissue with online orders.
Wish they could buy some paper towels. I'm out.
That's a hell of a marketing idea. He bought a bunch of toilet tissue and you order from him. And you roll the toilet tissue along with your food. Funny.
Okay, let's see what I got here.
You're in the office back there, Megan?
Yeah.
Like, see if he's on and good. I'm going for a walk on the beach.
All right. Let's see. Let me see if I can share a screen.
He didn't try to get on yet.
Who's ever trying to connect is having a lot of problems.
All right, I'm sharing the whatchamacallit. And I'm gonna put my my Zoom on mute.
Back from my walk on the beach.
Let's see. You're going to send us that beach file, man.
Yeah, I tried to pull that up on my other one. This is something that's on this Mac, which is not surprising. Because I
Yeah.
tried pulling it up on my desktop when I was at home and I didn't have it.
Megan, are you sharing your screen yet?
You're muted, Megan.
Muted.
Sorry, it doesn't want to share my screen.
Okay. Let me see if I can share mine.
Or the window you selected is
Yeah, I
invalid.
tried to pull that up on my other one. This is something that's on this Mac, which is not surprising. Because I tried pulling it up on my desktop when I was at home and I didn't have it.
Megan, are you sharing your screen yet?
No, it won't let me.
Really?
What?
Muted.
Again? Sorry, it doesn't want to share my screen.
Okay. Let me see if I can share mine.
Or the window you
I'll share mine. Alrighty, can y'all see mine?
Yes.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Yeah, I can see the screen. I thought it was my screen there for a second. I don't know who this is.
Okay, cool. So this now, so we can just, well, I'll just leave this up here until,
The meeting starts.
I don't know who this is trying to connect, but
they must be using a dial-up.
Ples,
Yes.
maybe on this screen you should put, are we gonna share this as Facebook Live as well?
it's on Facebook Live now. I mean, oh, you're saying, are we gonna share it on Facebook Live? I hadn't planned on it because we haven't anybody
Okay.
all the instructions.
Maybe I need to take off this piece where it says conducted via Zoom.
Yeah, just put virtual meeting.
Yeah. I think I can. Can I get in here? Oh. Yeah.
I'm just wondering who the heck this is on this 17756. I'm sending them a thing now. Oh, that's yours. Okay, live on YouTube. Video, mute. I'm tempted to connecting to audio. All right. If anybody calls you, Megan, I put that person in the waiting room because I don't know who they are.
Okay.
Whoever the 17775 was. So
I'll make a call. I've got both phones here, so whichever phone they call me on is good. Let's see.
pull my other phone up just in case somebody calls me on that one.
And it's on Facebook.
Oh, it's on Facebook too?
Oh yeah, it's Facebook Live is up and running.
Okay, good.
Because I didn't even put it as Facebook, but okay. If it's
No, I'm sorry. It's on YouTube. Sorry. Facebook, it's on YouTube.
Okay.
Can you put a link on our Facebook page to the YouTube live video?
Yeah, let me check something here. Let me see if I can. No, it won't let me do both of them.
Okay. Well, just put please go to our
Yeah, we got it working here. Just send them a YouTube. Put the YouTube link on the Facebook page.
All right, let me see here. Darn it. Do you know the link on the City of Stonecrest Facebook page was showing the conversation? Really?
I think Plez said that it was gonna be via Facebook Live on one of the emails, so there might be some confusion on that.
That was only to us though. That
Yeah.
wasn't. I just got a text from Clarence.
I may have sent that to
Yeah, it's not.
Valerie too. Yeah, you might want to send something to all the staff and let them know that it's on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm sending something. If people would stop sending me these darn things. I'm sending something to Clarence now. Why did it fail to send?
You want me to? I can send it.
Yeah, well, I was just getting ready to copy it and put it on here, but for some reason or another, the group text that Clarence just sent me, I would, it's not, I'm not able to respond to it. My phone is doing something crazy because it's the same thing it did with you, Megan. It's adding a bunch of people to this thing.
All right, I just sent him back and told him it was on YouTube. Let me go to our Facebook page and see what it says.
It's not saying anything yet. I'm getting ready to put it on there. Just a link, because I can't do both at the moment.
Hey, Adrian.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, good. Good. No, I just didn't know if you knew it. So that link that was on the Facebook page directly.
I can't hear you, Clarence. You're breaking up.
Okay. No, I was just saying that when I clicked on the link to the Facebook page, it's a YouTube live of your fix.
Yeah.
For Facebook. I just didn't know if you knew that.
Yeah. We intend on directing everybody to YouTube. So I'm getting ready to put a link on Facebook that says it, because it's not allowing me to do both at the same time.
Okay,
So
okay.
yeah, it should it should go straight to YouTube. Is that what you're saying?
Well, no, yeah, because it's showing a like a Zoom call between you and Megan and Pless. And they're just to fix it. It's your conversation to fix the link. So that's it. So I just didn't know if you knew that you were live right now.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we knew it. I did it a little early just because this is our first time and I didn't want any problems. I'm working out kinks. Right now, it should have just a screen with the virtual call meeting up. Yeah, with the agenda.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Like I said, it was nothing weird going on. I just want to make sure you knew about it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so we wouldn't talk about anybody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
All right, man.
Okay. All right, thanks. All right, bye. Hello. Hello. You can hear me, I can't hear you. Why? Okay. All right, cool. Everybody's coming on. This is kind of cool. I can unmute people too, just in case I wanted to.
Did we ever find out who that other person was?
No, I put everybody in a waiting room and then they disappeared. So I don't, well, you know what? I have them on hold. So I will probably, once all the council people get in, I will probably delete that one person or put them so that they're not seen. I don't know whether that's, I don't know what that is. And it kind of, you know, I don't want anybody hacking into the meeting. So
Okay.
Hey, how's it going, everybody?
Hey, good evening. Good evening. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Mr. Turner.
All right, Mr. Clinton, how are you, sir?
Awesome. Awesome.
Good. Well, I thought you'll have the masters behind you.
I started to.
Yeah.
I really did, man. But since I got to look at it myself, it just pissed me off.
I know. Isn't it a sad thing? It's a sad day, my friend.
But they opened the courses around here, though.
Oh, did they? Which courses are open?
The Oaks is open and Cherokee Run, I believe. But the
Okay,
Oaks,
I know you've been out there.
Huh?
I know you've been out there, haven't you?
Man, don't start, Rob.
I know.
Really
I'm trying to live vicariously through you because I can't go nowhere.
Well, okay. I'm gonna try to get out. I'm gonna make sure that you can live well through me.
Just give me a few birdies. That's all I ask. I don't ask for much in life. Just bring me back a few birdies.
Yeah, well, if I take a shotgun with my Hey, Mr. Bell.
How's it going?
All right.
All right.
Hey, Miss Reagan.
Oh, where is he? On the beach somewhere? Where is Adrian?
Hey,
I thought he was in town.
she the terrorist.
Somewhere in Hawaii somewhere.
Terrorist.
I can't go. Hold on just a second. Hey, just to let you all know, we went live early, so that's why that's up. So you are all being heard if someone is logged on to YouTube. So don't talk about anybody's mama. Or
Man, you put it in right on time. Thank you. I was going there. Thank you.
Oh yeah. Okay. All right. So I put on my R-rated face. I like how when Adrian turned his back, his head started phasing out of the picture.
see somebody that says it's 1-7. Wait a minute, hold on. Let me mute myself because I'm in the meeting talking.
Good evening. Good evening. How's it going there?
Good evening. I hear a voice. I don't see a picture.
Yeah, how's it going? This is Plez. Actually, I'm sharing my screen, so you won't see me right now.
Oh, all right.
Here, I started sharing. Does my picture show up now?
Yeah, you're up.
Oh, okay. Okay. Alrighty. Scary part is I'm sharing my screen, so I don't know what I look like here. So,
Looking good, Mr. John.
I'm not looking crazy.
No.
Does everybody have a nice weekend?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay. I do want to warn everyone that we are live streaming this on it's on YouTube, and we started that up about 20 minutes ago. So anybody who logs in, we'll see and hear everything that we got going on here.
All right.
Just as a quick primer on how we'll do this, I'm going to go through each document, and then I'll turn it over to the mayor to get a motion on each one. You'll see you guys can have whatever discussion, and then he'll do a roll call vote. Either the mayor or Megan will do a roll call vote on each item. Okay.
All right.
No problem.
Councilman.
Hey.
Hello there. Hey.
There's Chris.
I'm about to mute my phone, my microphone, because I have my son with me and he's doing his normal rolling around being loud. So unless you need me directly, I'm gonna keep my mic muted.
What is he doing, Chris? Can we see him or
Yeah,
what is
Chris.
he doing?
To be honest, man, we'd rather see your kid than you. So
Yeah, really, put his picture up there.
Ooh.
There he is.
Hey.
Hey, finally, there he is.
There he is. It's about to be.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, so that's why he has to be in the background because
I've been there, done that, Chris. I do understand. I feel you, man. I feel you.
Yes, sir. So I'm gonna go ahead and mute myself now. So I'll let you.
All right, I see gang's on here just about.
Almost. What
right.
time is it? Oh, we got about 7 minutes.
Did I see George turn on?
I haven't seen him.
Oh, George, I see names, but I don't see faces.
Yeah, he's logged in, but his camera is off and his microphone is off. I might be able to turn it on. No, I think Adrian has the ability to turn it on and off.
I can, Megan, but if somebody's turned them off, unless, you know, well, you know what, I can't turn somebody else's camera on. I can turn their mic on and off.
Yeah.
But the camera, I can't.
Yeah, I think it might be a good idea to let him turn his own microphone and camera on.
Yes.
Good.
He may not be camera ready yet.
And it looks like there's somebody else logged in under iPhone, but it doesn't say who.
It's Jalak. Hi everybody.
Hi, Jacques.
Oh, hi, Jalak.
Hey, how's it going?
Jalak, if you'd like, you can go under the participants list.
Okay.
Okay.
And you can actually put your name in there if you'd like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So where you can go down to where your name is.
George, let's see, Sean DePalma. I still see that 1776. Oh, okay, I see you now. I see you. I see you. I got you. Okay.
And then
So we
Ms.
can only see 5 frames at a time?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Is that how it
If
is?
you, Councilman, if you go to your top right or somewhere at the top of your screen, there should be something that looks like a little Hollywood squares, like a little matrix. And you can go grid view, you can go
Oh, okay.
thumbnail view. You can play around with those different views
Okay.
and you'll find that you can get various views.
Okay. I can't see it, but I see Councilwoman Grimes has joined us.
Hey,
Yes.
Hey.
All right, there we go.
Hola, ¿qué pasa?
Kapasa. Uh-huh.
¿Qué pasa?
Hey, Fox.
Him too. Let me go get a jacket.
Oh, I see how you can do that.
Megan, that was Councilwoman Grimes, that 17756. She called me, and so she's off and back on it herself.
Okay, good.
So I think we're still waiting on 1 or 2.
Say about 5 minutes.
Okay, Sean DePalma's here.
Oh, I see what he said. Agree with it.
Hello,
Hey,
Colonel George.
See the name, but no face.
Yeah, he needs
Story
to,
of my life.
at the bottom of your screen, there's a toolbar, and if you click start video, that will turn your video on.
Share screen, record, start video. Gotcha.
does everybody know how to use the chat feature?
I do now.
Where is it?
Oh, I gotta call you back.
Oh, I see it. I see it.
Yeah, it's a little button down at the bottom that says chat, and it'll bring it up. You can chat with someone privately. My knowledge, I would encourage everybody to kind of be on the safe side and probably not put anything out there that you don't want, because I don't know whether this records chats or not. I know it doesn't record yours to someone else. So for example, if I sent something to Megan privately, it won't record that. The public chat room, I can't promise you it doesn't. We haven't recorded and played around with it enough yet. So
Yeah, let's not use that right now, because if we get an open records request, I would have to provide it, and that would require me to contact Zoom support, which is not very supportive right now because they are so busy. They're very busy right now. So if you need to, you can use your text messaging on your phone, which is subject to open records, and that's easier to get copies of.
good idea.
Hey, Councilman George Turner,
Yes.
how's your family stuff doing before we get started?
Just when I was trying to dial in, I got a call from New York, and my sister is asking for food.
Oh, excellent.
That's a
Great
wonderful
sign.
thing.
You know,
And
I
they're
didn't
gonna-
know if it was your sister or your sister's child.
There are two. See, I have 8 sisters.
Wow.
Sister number, sister number 8 lost her son. Sister number 4 had the virus herself in New
God.
York.
The 35-year-old son?
The 35-year-old son was in Sacramento. That's from sister number 8. Sister
God.
number 4 had the virus herself about
Herself.
the same time. So she's been in the hospital for almost 4 weeks now. And they got her off of the ventilator.
Right.
We got off the incubator and she's on the ventilator. Is I got that right? Anyway, there's a tube in her nose that has been feeding her through. They're taking that out either today or tomorrow, and she's ready to eat. If all goes well, she'll go into a 3-week therapy and back on the road again. So she is one of those model patients and is doing quite well.
Man, praise
Great
God.
news, great news, great news.
That's great news.
Praise
That's
God.
great
Fun to hear
news.
about your other sister's loss, though. It's just amazing to me how the younger folks, just who it attacks, because
Yeah.
I just read about this football player the other day, this guy was 31 years old playing in the German league, and he looked like a tank, and took him to the ground and passed him.
Yeah.
Wow.
Someone said it's the amount of exposure you get. So it's, and you just never know where you're getting it from.
Must be. Man. Well, man, prayers to your family, brother.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, good. I'm going to ask that if you're not going to be speaking, basically if you're not on the city council and not Megan or myself or Adrian, if you would just mute your microphone. If you have any inadvertent noises, and then also if you would put your phones on vibrate so that we don't have any phone calls coming through. And do remember, if you do take a phone call, we can't hear you, so you might want to mute your phone if you go and take a phone call.
Okay, Mr. Joyner, we have 6 o'clock. So we're going to go ahead and get started. Folks, first of all, we'll get called in by Madam City Clerk.
Councilmember Jimmy Clinton,
Here.
Councilmember Rob Turner,
Here.
Councilmember Jasmine Cobble,
Oh, that's all right.
Sorry, I was on mute here.
Councilmember George Turner,
On the line.
Councilmember Tammy Grimes,
Here.
Mayor Jason Larry.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you, ma'am. Folks, thanks for making it today. And I am happy to see all of you. And I literally mean see all of you. It's been some trying times for folks that are, in our environment worldwide. So, but these are the times that we can prove ourselves to be even further useful to the world. So let's take this as an opportunity to praise the good Lord and that all of us are here and being able to participate. First of all, we're going to start with the agenda items that you see, and a little different than what we've done before. When we call for a vote, we'll do it roll call style, and we'll start districts, numerically the way they are. 1, Councilman Clanton; 2, Councilman Rob Turner; 3, Councilwoman Jasmine Cobble; 4, Councilman George Turner; and 5, Councilwoman Tammy Grimes. So we'll move forward to the first agenda items, that being the resolution for the Stonecrest State of Emergency in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. I want to just throw this out at council because I had a couple of 3 thoughts on this, and quite frankly, Mr. Joyner brought this to my attention. Even though we've constructed this resolution, I guess that you all will probably know that the state order trumps all. The state trumps all. However, we did declare that we would do this, and ours last longer than the states. The states is, the state of Georgia is through, and correct me if I'm right or wrong, Mr. Joyner, April 13th.
Correct.
And I think ours is through May 11th.
Correct. Yes.
All right. Is Jalek, are you on the line, attorney?
I was, but I didn't realize I was muted. And then Plez asked anyone else to be muted. So I went ahead and muted myself. But
Oh no, you're important. You're important. Madam Attorney, I'll ask the first question, and then Council, certainly you can dive in from there. So we have our resolution with regards to, the executive order that we put in place. Goes, of course, we all know that the state order trumps our order, but ours goes longer. Should we continue to keep this resolution, or what's your opinion?
I believe so. So the courts have also pushed it until April 13th, and the CDC has advised until April 13th. So, I mean, I don't necessarily think that the courts will open up, or the CDC will say that, the services and the businesses can open up again, because I was just in touch with DeKalb County Superior Court today, and Plez knows a little about this because he's seen the emails. The judge actually asked us to push a hearing all the way to May 29th. So I don't think that the order that the governor sent is gonna be held until April 13th. I think in all likelihood, it's gonna be pushed back further by 2-3 weeks. So I think what we have in place is good.
Okay, good deal. Was that, gosh, that was the, was that the, our bond deal goes all the way to May?
Yeah, I'm going to ask if we can do a Zoom hearing for it. And a Zoom hearing will allow, the judge's concern obviously is that the people or the council, the participants who want to discuss anything regarding the hearing be present. And given the pandemic, a lot of the people think that the courts are not open, which is accurate, but they do have access to Zoom. So I will propose and see if that is something that they're open to. I know they're open to that in some of the other counties, in Fulton County. So I will see with Mohini Patel, who's the staff attorney for Judge Heydrich, and see if they're amenable to Zoom, if we advertise the correct links, so people do have access to it.
Just for information purposes, you can use this as you can or will, Attorney Raval, is that Judge Heydrich is my leadership, the classmate. She knows.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Just kind of pitch that out there a little bit.
Okay.
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 Nice, very smart judge also. Okay, counsel, open for the floor.
Mayor?
Yes, sir.
Since the state resolution trumps what the city has proposed and the executive order, so the executive order technically, I believe, was superseded for now. And if the state does let theirs expire on the 13th, and we are going to meet on the 13th, it would appear to me that it would be appropriate to defer this until the 13th and pick it up if the governor does not extend the statewide resolution.
I thought about that. And that's why I want Attorney Raval to chime in on this. And I had the exact same thought, Councilman George.
Yeah. So I'm happy to chime in. As of now, we're not in any conflict with the governors, because if the governor had said that the state of emergency should only extend to May 15th and we had it, up until April 15th, then we would not be in compliance and we would have to pass another resolution right away stating that, we're extending it. But because municipalities have their own power, they can pass their own legislation. And this legislation that extends it is not in direct contravention with the governor's orders. The governor has ordered, whatever the CDC has recommended, such as banning gatherings of 10 people or more, and we've done the same thing. So the only thing that we've done is extended it for another 2 weeks, and that's not in contravention. So, and my assumption is that we can revisit this, but the governor's order will be extended for 2 weeks. That's my assumption. But that being said, I'm happy to send out an email to everyone with which says that we're not in contravention, if that's more comfortable for everyone.
May I get clarity? The last conversation we had was to get an understanding as to what we were suggesting, and it was to let the mayor issue the executive order. But the council has not issued the resolution. So the meeting today is to make it an official resolution. Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, that's what my understanding was. And the thing too, Councilman Turner, is that, and Attorney Revolve, certainly jump in on this when I make the statement. The resolution backs the executive order that I've already issued. So it would be, I think that, again, I'm playing shade tree lawyer. We may be in the administrative error not to issue the resolution now. But again, I'll lean on what the attorney advises.
I mean, has the resolutions already been executed by the mayor in a previous meeting? Is that what I?
The executive order.
The executive order by the governor?
No, the city's executive order by the mayor, by this mayor, as every city did.
Right. A lot of the municipalities executed emergency legislation right away. So that was done 2-3 weeks even before the governor passed his legislation.
That's correct.
So what I'm sorry, but I don't understand the question. Are we now asking if we need to execute the resolution, or are we asking what's the question?
So is that it, Councilman Turner? Should we execute?
I'm just trying to understand that when the mayor issues an executive order, it has powers until the council can meet and turn it into a sanctioned resolution by the council. But before the council can meet and sanction the executive order and turn it into a resolution from the council, then the governor has issued a resolution which trumps, in my mind, I could be totally wrong, it was trumps the executive order, what I was thinking. And I'm just asking, do we need to go ahead and issue the resolution when it has already been trumped?
So I understand your concern now. So you're saying that the executive order and the resolution that the municipalities have passed and that the city of Stonecrest has passed has been trumped by the governor's executive order. But
Stop. Stonecrest has not passed a resolution. It was only an executive order. Today is to pass that resolution. We haven't passed it yet.
So it's not in contravention to the governor's order in no way. It's not. The governor's ordered the same things that the municipalities have already placed in the resolutions that they've executed 2-3 weeks prior to the governor's executive order. Some of the things that are in concern with the governor's order are, can the police go and ban these businesses? No, they can cite a violation for misdemeanor if a business is still open. One of the other things is, as far as the date is concerned, right? So up until April 13th, the governor's order is in compliance with all the different municipalities, but the municipalities can make their own decisions. If the municipality chooses, for its safety, and it's the mayor and the council in a particular municipality decide that, no, we do not feel comfortable opening this business until May 11th instead of April 13th, then that's the municipality's decision to make. The municipality has that power.
And not
Okay,
just
may I
you.
ask a question, Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
I yield.
I'm sorry, Councilman. Turner.
I yield.
Grimes, you have the floor.
Okay. Is the executive order that was issued by our mayor, and this is to the attorney whom I'm sorry, I don't know her name. I want to address her
It's-
correctly.
Yeah, it's Jalak Raval. Call me
Okay.
Jalak.
Attorney Jella. Okay.
Jalak, yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry. You're giving
No,
me a
no,
little
it's
time to get it right. Is the executive order then, based on the conversation we just had, is the executive order that Mayor Larry put in place, is it an official executive order if we don't have a resolution to support it, no matter what the governor has said? I think that's what I need. That's what I want to know.
So I know in the charter, the governor, in cases of emergency, can pass executive orders for the protection of the community or the municipality. However, it should be officiated with a resolution once the mayor and the council can convene, like we're doing today, in order to make it official.
Okay, so
Yes.
right now then, our executive order from the mayor then needs to be supported by the resolution, which would then not allow us to defer until our April 13th meeting. Is that what I'm to understand?
Right.
Okay.
And so let me ask this question, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind.
Sure.
Can you hear me? So if we don't pass the resolution this night, what happens to the mayor's executive order? Does it remain in place?
I believe it remains in place because the mayor can pass an order in case of an emergency and it's in the charter, and I'm trying to find the exact provision that allows the mayor to do that. However, we need to pass and execute this resolution. We should put it up on the website like all other municipalities have, unless it's already on there.
No, it is not.
It needs to go up there. So it should be approved by the council in this meeting. Did I answer that question? Do you have a follow-up question?
Oh, you answered my question. Yes, thank you.
Okay. I can read through the exact provision. Says to establish procedures for determining and proclaiming that an emergency situation exists within or without the city, and to make and carry out all reasonable provisions deemed necessary to deal with and meet such an emergency for the protection, health, safety, and the well-being of the citizens. So
if I'm understanding you, Attorney, we do need to pass this resolution and have
we
it.
have to. Mhm.
Okay, okay. All right, Council. Any more questions for Madam Attorney? Any clarity? Okay, seeing none, then I am going to make a motion that we pass the resolution as presented today. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, I couldn't tell who seconded. I apologize.
Rob.
Rob, okay, Turner. Okay, any further discussion?
I just want to quickly mention that because it's an emergency resolution, it doesn't need to be read twice like all the other ordinances and resolutions. So one reading is good. So I just kind of, because I know the council had questioned whether or not, they need to pass this. So just want to add that to it.
Good deal. Okay. Any further questions, discussion? All right. Seeing none, we're going to do the roll call vote, starting with Council District 1. Jimmy Clinton.
Yay.
All right. Council District 2.
Aye. Aye.
Council District 3, Jasmine Cobble.
Aye.
Council District 4, George Turner.
Aye.
Council District 5, Tammy Grimes. Did we lose Councilwoman Grimes?
He's signing back in right now.
Uh-oh. Might have dropped off or something.
He's on mute.
I can unmute her. Hold on. Councilwoman Grimes, are you there?
I'm sorry, guys. I got kicked off. I don't know what happened.
No worries. Where we were, Councilwoman Grimes, is that we call for a roll call vote. And so Council District 1, 2, 3, 4 is yay, pass. But we couldn't, you got dropped off, so we still needed your vote.
Yay.
All
I'm in
right.
favor.
Thank you, folks. All right, Madam Clerk, you got that?
Yes, I have 6 yes votes.
Oh, and Mayor Larry, yay. All right. Let's see here. Mr. Jordan, if you can take us back to the next item.
Yes, Mayor and Council, good evening again. The second item that will come before you is the contract approval for 2020 street resurfacing contract. And I sent out the memo concerning this last week from Ken Hildebrandt, our city engineer. The city sent out an invitation to bid for the resurfacing of 37 streets within the city limits. This list utilized the pavement condition index scores from our pavement management study. The majority of the resurfacing will address the worst rated major streets within the city. Some of the worst subdivision streets are also included, as well as 3 subdivisions that were never completed by the developer. And I'm just going to drop down here to the end for the recommendation. The bid did require a let me scroll up a little bit. So once again, this project includes 37 streets, approximately 15.5 linear miles of roadway, and more than 45,000 tons of asphalt. This year's invitation to bid also included a requirement that a minimum of 5% of the services must be supplied by a disadvantaged business enterprise, a DBE contractor. The bid was released out on Thursday, January 28th. We had a pre-bid conference on February 19th. The bids were due into City Hall by 2 o'clock on Tuesday, March 3rd. And we're at the award of at a council meeting. We did push it off from our March 9th meeting. And so this is our first opportunity to actually have the awarding. The bids were received from 7 GDOT qualified contractors that met the minimum DBE contractor percentage, those being Atlanta Paving, Baldwin Paving, Blunt Construction, ER Snell Contracting, HEH Paving, Pittman Construction, and Stewart Brothers. This is the recommendation from our city engineer that the ITB 2020-001 be awarded to the low bidder, which is ER Snell Contracting Company, for the submitted unit prices. The estimated contract amount would be $4,397,498.05. They are an established contractor who has done quality road construction work throughout the metro Atlanta area. ER Snell meets the minimum DBE requirement by subcontracting an estimated $225,000 to a DBE trucking firms. Their asphalt pricing is approximately 23% less than the amount paid for last year's resurfacing project. This project will be funded from the LMIG state grant in the amount of $562,000 and $495.82, and from SPLA in the amount of $3,835,002.23. And also included in the bid packet was the GDOT LMIG letter, the documentation from the bid itself, the bid summary that was produced by our city engineer, as well as the contracting documents. Turn it back over to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, council, floor is open for any questions for Mr. Deputy.
I'll go again.
All right.
I know we're desperate to get these roads paved, and I doubt if anybody wants it more than me. However, just to be clear, this is a SPLOST project with LMIG support, or this is an LMIG project with SPLOST support? Because we have LMIG money to the tune of $560,000, but we complement that with the match of $3.6 million worth of SPLOST money. Is this considered a match, or this is a match plus?
Yes, and if you recall last year, when we did this last year, actually we started with the LMIG portion of it and we matched it with SPLOST funds, and then we came back and we did a second phase of it just using SPLOST funds. This year, what we decided to do was just add that all in together and do one big project at the very beginning. So instead of breaking this up into two projects, we just did just one project. So it is the LMIG. We had to match the LMIG with a 30% match, and that's just in the SPLOST money. So it's LMIG with some SPLOST match, and then it's also mainly it's a SPLOST project.
So you're calling it more of a SPLOST project than an LMIG project? Okay.
True. Right.
Okay.
I have a question in reference to, I guess the amount. Now, this is for the entire 2020 year. Am I correct? Just for the 2020 year?
Yes, correct. This is the 2020 paving project.
Okay. All right. I wanted to make sure. Any additional monies you see possibly coming from this that we have to put out?
The only thing I can think of is that this bid was if you take a look at it, the bid was substantially less than the other folks that were bidding. And if you recall, when I came to the city council meeting in early January, we asked for approximately $6.5 million to do paving. So if we can get some savings, some cost savings out of this, I truly anticipate coming back to the city council a little bit later on, probably within a month or two after they've made some headway with this paving contract, and possibly asking for us to do some additional paving because we're just about just a little over $2 million less than what we had planned to spend this year on paving. And if I'm sure you guys ride around our roads as much as I do, and you know that our roads need to be repaved. So
well, there's no question about that. Absolutely.
So we actually have an opportunity to actually pave a lot more roads this year, maybe even double what we did last year.
Okay.
This is Joe Thibodeau. One of the unforeseen possible benefits of the pandemic is that the drop in petroleum prices, which is instrumental in the price of asphalt. Oh, wow. So what you're seeing is a big drop in the price of asphalt. And so there may be a significant opportunity to spread this budgeted cost further than we anticipated.
Wow. Okay, floor still open, Council. And staff. Thank you, Mr. Thibodeau.
I do have I've got a couple of questions.
Go ahead, Jess. Councilwoman.
And they're not necessarily related to the dollar amounts or the content of the submission, more about the review process. And this really jumped out to me, I guess, on the next item when I was looking at some of those documents a little more closely. And I realized that Mr. Thibodeau was on the line, but that's good because maybe you can help answer some of this for me. And I kind of ran it really quickly by Attorney Denmark as well, right before our call. So it definitely needs more discussion at a later date. But I kind of hesitate to ask, I guess, some of the questions I have while the bid is still open, if that makes sense. Kind of exposing some of this information at this stage just feels a little strange. And so I kind of hesitate to ask some of the questions maybe about the specific scoring or notes, if there were some notes missing, or just, kind of questions around, how we come up to the selection, and I get that it's the lowest bid basically. But since we're doing the full scorecard, you know, each company receives certain points for certain things, and just kind of having the initial discussion and this information being public and in the packet, just kind of, and it makes me a little uncomfortable to have certain questions or conversations before the bid is closed. So I know we do things a little differently on the municipal side and the state side, which maybe is where some of that uncomfortability comes in for me. And I get, you know, and I know we were having this issue as well with COVID-19, so it's a little hard to kind of have a work session or even a 3-on-3 or an executive session to hash out some of these detailed conversations about certain companies and their scores, their bids, their dollar amounts, prior to putting it out in the public. But it just kind of leaves me a little bit uncomfortableness knowing that we're kind of having this level of discussion about an open proposal prior to its award. And there are some state departments that are run by boards, which I guess is the most similar to how a municipality runs. And their process is even a little different, where the board is presented with this information prior to the public meeting where they vote. And so they can kind of have these discussions behind a closed door and kind of talk about scoring mechanisms and talk to the scorers of the RFPs, and kind of get to a recommendation prior to the information being released to the public. So like if I was a company or a bidder, and all my information is kind of sitting here, and then if my scorecard is sitting here as well, before you award the bid, I can see how you scored everyone, including myself. So just a comment, I guess, a long-winded comment about how we're doing what we're doing, not necessarily that what we're doing is good or bad, just kind of how we're doing it. Feels a little uncomfortable.
Okay. Now, just so that I'm clear, is your unease with the having the amount that each of the companies bid, how much their bid package was for?
Not necessarily that in its own capacity, just the entire bid in general, and most importantly, the scorecards. I mean, everything is going to be subject to open records at some point, but I think it's the at some point that I think we're kind of treading in a gray area with by putting it in a public packet before the bid is awarded or even before the period for appeal. So yeah, not necessarily just that one thing, you know, it's the entire packet being open to the public while we're still literally kind of discussing it. Because this is a recommendation, right? But the council can most certainly kind of look through the proposals and say, well, this is the lowest bid, but maybe this is better or that better. And I'm not saying we will, but just kind of having all of this information out and exposed before we get to that point where typically I've seen in other scenarios where boards similar to our council have a discussion. Then when they get to the public meeting, it's really just a vote because you've already kind of had your discussion amongst each other, and you're not exposing all of what's in the bid proposal to the public while having that discussion.
Okay. What we'll do is at our next opportunity, let's sit down and go back through this process again, so that we make sure that everyone is comfortable with this going forward. And I think you mentioned this before, that this one is maybe a little bit innocuous because we simply went with the companies that reached the minimum DBE contractor percentage, right. and then basically just went with who was the lowest bidder.
Right, and I saw more of this in the next item, in the CEI item.
Correct.
Where the scoring was, there was a little bit more to it than just DB.
Correct. Okay.
Councilwoman Grimes?
Yes, I'm just, as we're here, I'm getting some constituent concerns. So I don't know if this is the appropriate time to ask, or should I wait? But it concerns our SPOS money.
What's your pleasure, Councilwoman? I'm open for whatever conversation you want to have.
No, just the question of, because right now it looks like we're gonna have some SPOS money left over, and have we come to a number yet that might tell us how much we anticipate having left over? We've not done any work yet, but just that question has come up.
We won't know if there's anything left over until after they've pretty much completed the work and we started to reconcile the money. Last year, if you recall, we did have a bit of a surplus. This year looks like the margins may be a little bit tighter because, as I stated, we're paving more roads. But this amount they came in with, it was lower, and I believe Mr. Thibodeau actually touched on a point that gas prices, therefore the asphalt is going to be considerably lower, and also I believe this company, ER Snell, has access to their own asphalt plant, so. That might also lead to the lower price as well. So as I stated before, when I came before the council back in January, I thought that this amount would be closer to 6.5 million, and we're going to be, we probably won't get past much past 4.5 million once we do everything, if everything remains as we see it here. So as I stated earlier, we may come back in a few months after they've already started, and we can look at how they're going along. I'm not sure how much pushback we would get from our constituents if we were to pave more roads with the same amount of money.
You know, if I may, I'm sorry, Councilwoman, I don't want to cut you off if you had something else. Councilwoman Grimes. Did I lose her? Did I lose Councilwoman Grimes? I'm sorry, Madam Clerk, you said something?
I think she was kicked out of the meeting again.
Oh,
I don't see her on our list anymore.
that'd be dope. Well, let's see. While I'll render my opinion while we're waiting for her to dial back in. I'll get back in. And that is, since we know what this hard number is with ER Snell contracting, which is a great number. I mean, they beat the devil out of the rest of the people in now, and they have a superior reputation from what I understand with regards to how they go about their business, and they have some minority contracting opportunities with us that we wanted also. What I want us to give good consideration to is that if we know this is the solid number, which is 4397, the rest is gravy, less what we are going to do. Remember, SPLOS wise, with developing our Sam's Club building for City Hall, because that comes out of SPLOS too. And if we know we got a hard committed number that we're looking at here for ER Snell, and put me on the right track if I'm wrong, Mr. Joyner, then we'll know exactly what we're dealing with that we put up also with regards to what we would renovate, start to renovate Sam's Club building with, because we never finish it this year anyway. At least we'll have some hard numbers that are coming in, and what we have dedicated to paving the roads, wouldn't be encumbered by that. Am I speaking in or out of turn?
You're speaking in turn, Mr. Mayor. Actually, that amount would be negligible beside this, and so we're in very, very good shape right now at this point.
Okay.
The only worry that I would have right now is that with the COVID-19 pandemic and the effect that it's going to have on our sales tax collections. As you know, the SPLOST money is a penny is an additional penny sales tax that was added here in DeKalb County. And with folks not going out to eat, not shopping, not driving around and going to work and stuff every day, we can expect that our check that we receive probably for the next couple of months is going to be considerably lower than we're used to receiving. We've been averaging around $611,000 per month has been coming in for SPLOST. I do not think that we'll be getting that for the next couple of months now.
What offsets that too, Mr. Joyner, is that since we have some savings that when I say savings, we have collected SPLOST money nearly a year before we started paving, so we're in really good cash flow shape.
Oh yeah, once again, you're spot on, Mr. Mayor. We have a balance of over $8 million sitting in the bank, so we have about a year's worth of SPLOST money currently just waiting for us to decide how we're going to use it.
All right.
I apologize, everybody. I'm back on. I don't understand this dropping off.
No worries. Let me sum it up for you, Councilwoman Grimes. What we talked about is a couple of three things. One is that we have just about a year's worth of SPLOST money in the bank as it is today already. So on top of that, with regards to the lowest bidder being, gee whiz, almost $1 million lower than the next competitor, which was Pittman Construction. Mr. City Manager, Assistant City Manager feels pretty comfortable with regards to where we are, very comfortable, as a matter of fact, where we are from a revenue standpoint. If we, on top of that, Councilwoman, we've committed a certain amount of money in SPLOST to start to develop our City Hall with the Sam's Club building. We're covered, really well on that also. So if I miss something, any council member or Mr. Joyner, let me know.
Thank you, sir.
All right, so with that, unless you all can, feel differently about it, I think we should go ahead and approve this vendor so they can get started, because that's how these roads trump public safety now. That's the number one call I get is about our roads, and we have the contractor and the funding to go ahead and start our season.
Allow me to just go on record one more time.
All right.
DeKalb County left, I don't want to blame DeKalb County, but some of the developers who left our subdivision in some pretty miserable conditions.
Mm-hmm.
And I was told that it was a dead issue with the bonding that they were supposed to have posted, and we probably won't be able to collect it. I say before we close it out, we continue to take a look at perhaps recouping money, if there is money to be recouped from what should have been bonded by some of the developers on some of these roads that we are about to repave now, that we shouldn't have to be repaving if they had done what they were supposed to do. Just wanted to go on record with that.
Yes, Councilman Turner. Actually, we are continuing to pursue those, and actually, it's three subdivisions that are in question. So we're continuing to pursue that with the CAP, and we're sort of at their mercy at this time. But we have not stopped, and so that's been an ongoing thing we've been doing for over 2 years now.
Thank
So
you, sir.
rest assured, we're going to continue the fight for that.
Good deal. Any more comments, questions? All right. Then I'll make a motion that we approve ER Snell contracting for the paving for $4,397,498.05. All right. Do I have a second?
Second, Mr. Mayor.
All right. I have properly moved in second. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none, I'll take a roll call vote. Council District 1, Jimmy Clanton.
Aye.
Council District 2, Rob Turner.
Aye.
Council District 3, Jasmine Cobble.
Aye.
Council District 4, George Turner.
Aye.
Council District 5, Tammy Grimes.
Aye.
Mayor says aye. Okay, passes. Thank you, Council. Mr. Joyner.
I apologize for that. I have had my phone on mute. The next item that's come before us is the construction engineering and inspection services that goes in support of the contractor. So basically, what they do is that this is a company that we hire on that does the quality control and ensures that the right asphalt mix is used, make sure the right type of asphalt and the right quantities as they're paving the roads for us. So the memo that was sent to you from Ken Hildebrandt, once again, staff has solicited bids for the resurfacing of 37 streets within the city. The low bid was ER Snell at $4,397,498.05. It is essential that the city have representatives in the field during these operations to inspect the contractor's daily activities. CEI services include monitoring all construction work, including resurfacing, full depth information, inspecting materials, and ensuring that they meet GDOT specifications. Measuring construction quantities and ensuring that the project stays within budget, keeping daily logs, verifying contractor invoices, and responding to citizens' questions and concerns. The request for proposals was advertised and 6 responses were received from GDOT certified CEI consultants. So we received bids from Atlas, BM&K, CDM Smith, CMS, Low Engineers, and Southeastern Engineering. The proposals were evaluated by the Deputy City Engineer, Mikhail Abibi, and City Engineer Ken Hildebrandt. Project understanding, experience, project personnel, and cost were considered. Staff recommends that the CEI contract be awarded to the low bid, that being Southeastern Engineering or SEI. They were also awarded the CEI services contract for the 2019 resurfacing projects, and they did a very competent job. The contract amount is $47,500 and will be funded from the city's SPLOST account. Right back to you, Mr. Mayor.
All right, Council, open for discussion.
I just have a question. I don't know, maybe it's just something I see in reference to one word, competent. What is your understanding of that word competent, please?
It's almost I know Ken really well, and both tech students. So a lot of times we score stuff as either being pass or fail. So you're either competent or you're incompetent. So
Okay.
they're competent. They did a very good job, and actually the bid this year is a little bit lower than their bid from last year, and we're doing more paving. So we just look forward to them being doing a very thorough job for us this year.
All right, thank you.
I had that exact same question, Mr. Turner. Okay, boy, I tell you. Okay, the floor's still open, folks.
Just quickly,
Yes, sir.
you have, looks like only 2 evaluators, is that correct?
Correct. The evaluation team was our city engineering team, and that was Mikhail Abibi and Ken Hildebrandt.
And since a percentage of this is LMIG money, can we use 100% of SPLOST to cover this cost?
Yes, the LMIG money is just used just for the paving contract. And then we're just using just straight SPOS money just for this.
Yeah, I understand, but if you had been paving with strictly LMIG money, where would you have gotten the money to pay for this portion of the contract?
We would never pay for anything with just strictly LMIG money because we always would have to match it. And so we're matching it with SPOS funds. And so we're using.
I'm just saying if there was no SPOS and you were getting the funds from someplace.
If we didn't have any SPOS, we would just be paying this out of the operating budget for the city.
And you could pay 100% out of the operating funds. Okay.
Correct. Yes.
And perhaps I just didn't read it in all detail, but there was a note on the very rear about submitting 4 copies of the transportation master plan.
On the very rear of
On page 4, or the 4th page, let's say.
On the CEI services.
Submission of TPM proposal.
And what document are you looking at?
I'm looking at the one that says contract award for construction engineering inspection services. That's 1, 2, 3, 4 pages.
Hold on a minute.
I don't think it changes anything. Don't sweat it.
Yeah, that may have just been inadvertently put in there. Let me see if I can pull up that particular document that you're looking at.
Yeah, I just didn't want you to have a tainted document, and if that belongs in there, fine. If it doesn't, I don't think it's going to change anything.
He's in the RFP, Clay. It's the 4th page of the RFP.
RFP document? Sorry. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking that when Mr. Hildebrandt created the RFP document, he may have inadvertently inserted some information about the transportation master plan in there.
Okay, all right, just clean it up. The same one, well, trying to see what page this is on. We still have Leo Rodriguez as interim city clerk. I think he was just copying and pasting on that one.
It has to be it now. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
I'm glad to see you, Megan.
I know that's right. And while we're on that, Leah's doing a lot better. She was on death's bed, Jack. She was on death's bed.
Oh, really?
Wow.
Wow.
Yep. So she's bouncing back, which is was really prayerful about that. She was touch and go there for a minute.
Okay.
And hers wasn't COVID-19 either.
Wow.
All right.
There is something else.
Okay.
And Councilwoman Cabo pointed out that perhaps we shouldn't get into the weeds about the scoring at this time, but there was something that didn't add up for the scoring, and wanted to get some clarity on that. And that was for BM and K.
BM and K.
Is that last number correct? 37.5.
Okay. Looks like the shows the tabulated scores of under project understanding and approach. They were given a 0. Similar experience They had a 0 there. Project personnel is 15, and detailed cost proposal was 22.5. So that does go up to 37.5. I did not participate on the bid on the evaluation of the bid packets.
Okay.
So that kind of leads to a question I had as well, related to something similar to that. But so on the evaluator scorecard, it looks like when you offer marginal as a score, that it's 0.25. So I don't know if Excel just narrowed that to 0 or what, but if BMK was awarded a marginal in the first 2 categories, not that it's a huge difference, but that would make that 38, not 37.5.
Okay, I will touch base back with Ken and Mikhail on this, and let's see about these discrepancies here. Okay.
But plus, let me ask you this too, and I don't know if I missed it or this is some hesitation in me asking this question publicly. But so I was looking at I don't know that they're in any specific order, but looking at the third one, low, I'm looking at the scorecard. I'm sorry. You don't have it up right here, but I'm looking at the scorecard, looking at the company low. This is a question I would have preferred to ask maybe prior to this, but they scored excellent, which looks like they received the maximum points in 3 of the 4 categories. And the third category, they received a 0. It looks like, or there's nothing there, so I'm assuming that that's a 0. I would have liked to have seen some comments or something from a scorer kind of telling me kind of how they came up with excellent in all 3 categories except for project personnel, and specifically when you're giving an excellent in detailed cost proposal, experience, and understanding and approach. It's kind of hard to come up to a 0 for personnel when they're excellent everywhere else. So I just thought I would have liked to have been able to kind of drill down and kind of see, okay, what happened with that proposal where they were scored excellent all but personnel. And I mean, at its minimal state, you'd have to have the accurate personnel to even come up with a detailed cost. So how could their cost have been excellent and receive a maximum amount of points, but a 0 in personnel, one almost fits into the other. So that's the kind of like discussion I feel a little uncomfortable having out loud, talking about, how we scored each individual company, especially when it's very likely that somebody from this company or other companies could be listening in or watching while we're discussing it. But so that's kind of one of the questions, and similar question, when I look at who else had excellent, right, across the board, we've scored SEI as excellent in cost, but the cost for low engineering is almost $100,000 higher than SEI. So kind of what were we using to scale excellent if one company can be 142,000 in excellent and another company can be 47,000 and be excellent. And then similarly, again, that same company, one of the companies that's excellent in every other category was 0 in personnel. So it kind of was strange to me. I kind of didn't understand that scoring process. And I can't tell by the documents we have in the packet how we came up to that.
Okay.
And I can't see the other proposals either. I only see the one. I guess we only submitted in the packet the one that we were recommending. So I didn't have an opportunity to look through the other proposals and maybe see for myself. Although it's such a large discrepancy, I doubt that I could have come up with an answer. But I wasn't able to look through the proposals of the other companies. So I just thought just some of those kind of questions is a little easier to talk through when, again, the company maybe is not watching or listening or looking at their score while other people are looking at their scores.
And why don't we do this? Let's plan to in future opportunities. Let's make sure that we take an opportunity to actually go through these in a little bit more detail. For those of you that require a little bit more information, and we'll make sure that we set those up with you. Okay.
Sure. Well, I think it's valuable to have us all a part of that conversation too.
I know we're in some different difficult times. That was really my intent on trying to get this information to you last week, was in hopes that if there were any these types of issues, so we'll just make it a point to go a little bit further and making sure that we have an opportunity to sit down and peruse the contracts a little bit more. Okay.
Mr. May I make a comment, please?
Yeah.
As I looked at the scorecard, I too had some questions. I did speak with Mr. Joyner on yesterday. Yep. And got what could be an answer to some of the things that I had some concerns about in terms of the point spread, if you will. But what I'd like to recommend, since none of us are a part of that process, is if we could offer suggestions in the formatting of the scorecard, or at least to have some anecdotal notes that would allow us to be able to see what the scorer was thinking when they did what they did. So if this company didn't have any personnel to be scored, then we would know that, and we wouldn't have to, try to hash out answers that we don't have answers to. That would be my greatest suggestion, is to be able to have those notes so that we could go back, especially me. I want the notes. I need this because I ask a lot of questions. Okay, so that's it. Thank you.
And if I may piggyback off of that, the state, when we're doing RFPs, if you score anything adequate, if you scored adequate, or if you scored poor, or scored marginal, anything other than excellent, you have to put a note on the RFP, on your scorecard rather, and that helps in protest. So especially for us now that we're kind of doing this in a public setting, I cross my fingers that we don't have many protests from this, but it really helps when you're going through protests to have notes on anything other than excellent. It minimizes obviously the amount of time you spend in the protest, but it also clears up any questions that may come up in a protest. So I would definitely piggyback off that recommendation, especially if we're going to kind of continue down this road of a public dissecting, that we have some notes to help us in a protest should that come up. Okay.
Yeah, that makes great sense. And then also we should well, I'll take that. Thanks for that. That'll help.
Okay. Any further, council?
Just to add in the comment, Mr. Joyner, I did appreciate you getting to me on the weekend. It's just that it takes me more than one read to go through this. I was reading this up until the time this meeting started in terms of trying to fully understand this. And I suspect that at some point when we get our purchasing manager or director back in place, that will give us some more ammunition in terms of being able to get an early diagnosis of what this really means. So you have less questions at a time like this. So I appreciate it.
Awesome.
Let me just say, just for the record, I do agree with my colleagues concerning the scoring. I do.
All right. What this leads us to is, I think since certainly this won't be not even remotely the last time we do this, we got a chance to now hear full council feedback. You can certainly circle with the city engineers, the associate city engineer, and also of course Mr. Jones on this project. What I do feel comfortable about is that having done having the city done business with Southeastern Engineering before and watched the quality of work that they've had, I do feel comfortable, you know, from an operation standpoint and from a delivery standpoint that they'll do just as good a job as they've done before. But all your points are very valid, and we'll move forward from there if all hearts and minds are clear with council. So, Mr. Joyner, anything else before we take a motion?
No, Mr. Mayor. Nope.
All right. Then council, I move that we approve the Southeast Engineering SEI for this particular application for $47,500. I've been moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All right. Properly moved and second by Councilman Rob Turner. Any further discussion? All right. Seeing none on roll call. District 1, Jimmy Clanton.
Aye.
District 2, Rob Turner.
Aye.
District 3, Jasmine Cobble.
Aye.
District 4, George Turner.
Aye.
District 5. And you know what? I didn't call these person or council people, but Councilwoman Tammy Grimes.
Aye.
Mayor, aye. All righty. I apologize for that, folks. I just started rolling down the list. All right, Mr. Joyner.
All righty. On here. Awesome. All righty. Last but not least, we have the recommendation for Parks and Recreation Aquatic Center services for Browns Mill Aquatic Center. That covers the life safety maintenance, janitorial, sales, and concession services. We do have Director of Parks and Recreation, Sean DePalma, is on the call. And Sean, if you would just unmute your phone and walk us through this bid.
Yes, sir. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Evening.
I just wanted to go through this. As you see, we have the recommendation for the selection for the services for Browns Mill Aquatic Center. This went out on January 31st of this year. We did the pre-bid conference on February 20th. We did give ample time to answer questions. We responded to all questions that were submitted. And then we went ahead and reviewed it and prepared it for the March 9th meeting that was advertised, but was not able to get it done based off of the COVID-19 and all the situation that was occurring at that time. We did advertise this both on the city website. We also advertised it on the Georgia State of Revenue's purchasing website. In addition to that, we contacted, I believe it was 3 or 4 different companies in the Atlanta region or area to invite them to look at the bid and consider placing a bid for the RFP. We only had one company submit, and it was Vanguard Aquatics, Inc. And I put in my recommendation memo giving you some general highlights of what the terms are, the timeframes, projected revenue, and the terms of service. This is not a contract that we will be paying. In fact, it's a style of leasing contract where the company will utilize our facility, Browns Mill Aquatic Center, and they will staff it and also carry insurance for their operation. They will collect revenue. We have a mechanism in our contract that specifically identifies how we can verify and oversee the revenue, and how they report it to us. And then they pay us a percentage of their revenue throughout the operation, which is 20% revenue for us. Their projection when they bid their projection of revenue for the entire summer, and this is prior to COVID-19 striking our nation and our community, their projection was $285,000, with a projected 20% revenue to us, the city, for $7,000.
What was that other number, Sean? 285.
Their projected revenue for their operation of Browns Mill was 285,000.
Okay.
And our 20% revenue from them would be 57,000. So in essence, they were projecting that they would make 250,000 throughout the summertime, and then they would pay us our contracted 20%, and that is roughly $57,000. Again, that projected revenue was prior to COVID-19 striking the community.
Excellent. Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I don't know whether I missed it or not, but will they be responsible for maintenance also?
Sir, in the contract, they're responsible for what would be called operational maintenance, such as cleaning the restrooms. If a door handle breaks, there's a stipulation in there that they would look to repair it on site. Now, anything capital would then is still the responsibility of us, the landowners and the property owners, and equipment such as first aid equipment and chairs and furniture currently no longer there. DeKalb County did remove every item possible that was not anchored to the facility.
Yeah.
So we are, meaning the city and my department, we are in the process of purchasing those type of items. Those are items that we would have regardless of who was operating the facility, such as a picnic table and a first aid kit and a lifeguard stand. Those type of items we're in the process of purchasing. Now, once those items are there, if they need to restock the first aid kit, it's on the onus of the vendor. And if a lifeguard stand, the umbrella rips, it's on the onus of the vendor to repair that umbrella. But as far as if a pump breaks or something of that nature, then breaks down, then that is the cost of us, the landowner, to maintain.
And did you state that they will be providing insurance? Did I hear you say that?
Yes, in fact, they're carrying insurance, and they submitted a copy of it with their submittal, and that's a liability insurance. In addition to that, when I submitted a task sheet of different purchases that I'm going to need for bringing Browns Mill up to the city manager and to Mr. Joyner and the administration, and I recommended that we, the city, go out and purchase our own separate liability insurance to create an additional layer of protection. And I have an estimated cost at $23,000 to $24,000 for the year for that particular insurance. So yes, the vendor has already submitted, and they will carry insurance. In addition to that, I did recommend that we purchase an additional insurance policy to create another layer between any incident that possibly could happen.
And how much would that be for the 23,000 we'd be paying if we went that way? How much would the value of the insurance be?
The insurance, I would have to get you the number, but I believe it's $2 million per incident.
Okay.
It has no limit on the amount of incidents, but I don't want to be held to that exact. I can get you a copy of that quote or the information for that quote. Yes, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. De Palma,
Yes, sir.
are you saying this is the same contractor that did the work for the DeKalb County at this location?
This is the contractor that provided lifeguard services for the county at Browns Mill for the last 2 years. Because there's some, I just want to be clear, because this company also was in Browns Mill for several years doing maintenance, but not providing the lifeguard services. But the last 2 years, they have provided the lifeguard services. So it is the same vendor for lifeguard services. It is not the same vendor for concession. It is not the same vendor for point of sale or POS. It is not that same vendor. This vendor only did one specific task the last 2 years or 3 years for the DeKalb County, which is strictly lifeguards. In this contract, they would provide all services, and it would be all encompassing for them to generate the most revenue. And in essence, then we would benefit off of a percentage, 20% of that overall revenue.
And are they also responsible for other parks in DeKalb County?
Yes, they currently just had their contract renewed for aquatic facilities. They provide all the maintenance for all DeKalb County Parks and Recreation aquatic centers. And they also provide all the lifeguard services, so the life safety services.
And one other question, their anticipated revenue, is there any guarantee or any penalties, clauses that will get them out? Let's say based on what's going on now, they come in with half that.
Well,
our take would be a smaller percentage, but is there a clause that gets them out of this if it's say bust?
Well, the way the contract is written is that we obtain 20% of all revenue. And then it is written in the contract. I don't have it in front of me. I believe it was submitted with the packet. It specifically identifies how what the term revenue is and how it is, how it can be verified and audited. So there's a section specifically on the auditing. Now, if you're asking if the vendor comes in and only has 2 weeks of summer to perform because of COVID-19 as an example, then whatever their quote unquote revenue for those 2 weeks, we would then obtain 20%. But there's nothing saying that if they came in for one, if they don't come in, they don't come in because of COVID-19, then no, we would not generate the 20%.
Now, I just want to know if we would be liable for anything. So from what I understand, and I'll go through the contract again, that we would not. That's what I got when I went through it the first time.
Yes, we're not liable for any of their operational costs at all. So if they hire 40 lifeguards and start working them, and then we had to shut down because of something such as COVID-19 as an example, and they still paid their lifeguard for the remaining of the summer, that is an expense on them. That is not an expense on us. No, sir.
Okay. I just wanted it on record. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Good deal. Council, anything further?
I've got a couple questions.
Yes, ma'am.
This is Cobble.
All right.
Mr. Palmer, just out of curiosity, where do we come up with 20%?
Well, the reason it was a selection by me, ma'am, and the main reason is general practice in my field is 70-30s, and we go after 30%. But looking at the trend in the nation of other organizations that have contracted out their services, they sit roughly between 15 and 20%. So I went with the 20% based on the fact that I like to try and get as much as we can recovered for the taxpayer. At the same time, this is allowing them several avenues of increasing revenue from the point of sale, requiring them to host swim classes or any other kind of extra classes to increase the rentals for party rentals and also their concession stand. I felt it was fair enough that they had a variety of revenue streams to create, and that the 20% was at the higher national average, but it was still reasonable for us to recover costs there.
Okay. I was just curious. I didn't have an opinion one way or the other, whether it was good or bad. I was just curious how we came up with it. I didn't know if there was like a standard formula or, so that's good to know. And in that kind of in that same question, I'm assuming that their anticipated revenue or whatever their total revenue is that 20% does not exclude any stream of that revenue. So it's a total, it's a true total where it will be any online purchases, on-site purchases, concession, admission. I mean, it's 20% of the total. There isn't any stream that's excluded from that.
Correct. There's no stream of revenue. I did allow for multiple streams, of course. I just gave an example, but it's encompassing of all revenue made. And again, in the contract, I made sure I went through several times to ensure that we have an audit process and we have a spot check process to even try and make sure that we keep all parties honest when it comes to something such as cash transactions. So I've really honed in on trying to make sure that it is 20% of their true revenue.
Okay, awesome. I thought I read somewhere, sorry, I might not be able to point to it immediately, but there was some language about a stipend or reimbursement. I might have been in the financials, maybe near the audit section or anywhere, somewhere in there. I read something about a stipend, and I think it mentioned as well that the company is open to other options. What was that stipend?
Yes.
I guess we did not agree to that. And then kind of, can you talk through that a little bit?
Okay, so what it was is, it's mainly for maintenance and maintaining operations. So I'll give you an example. If a restroom stops working or backs up, and they then try to repair it on site with their staff and their whatever limited skill set they may have, and then they have to reach out and get a plumber. Now that is a cost, that threshold of cost is $300-400. We want to be able to allow them to get that accomplished, and then we will reimburse it. That will reimburse that overall cost. But if you also see in there, I have written to make sure that they understand, and there's a threshold of cost there as far as I believe it's $500. That anything that's going to exceed that threshold, we have to have verbal confirmation by the contract liaison, which in this case would be the director of Parks and Recreation. They have to have that prior to trying to spend more than that. And that's usually for the situation that I'm telling you right now, as an example, the restroom. A public restroom, when it goes down, you need to recover as quick as possible.
Okay, makes good sense. And just the last question, what we can see on the screen, it looks like we've got two different numbers. So I just want to make sure it's 285 or 258. One sentence says anticipated revenues 285, and another sentence says the projected revenue was 258.
Where is that? I'm sorry.
Can you, I don't know, can you see the screen? Can you see Plaza's screen?
I can, let me make it larger. 285 is under projected revenue. Oh, I'm sorry. I do have a slight case of dyslexia, and in the parentheses, I did flip the 5 and the 8. Thank you for I apologize.
Okay, so it's the 285 number, not 258.
It is the 285 number. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, all right.
And I'm gonna call my ADA on that one now.
No worries. I'm sorry, I do have one more question. Obviously, the dates are going to change, like you said. So, I guess are we? I don't want to use the word floating in the contract because that sounds uncertain. But are we going to just kind of wait until we can have gatherings of more than 50 people or so before we put a hard start date into this contract? Obviously, I mean, if we sign it today, right, it's legally binding that March 31st was was it March? Was the beginning date in this contract. So I'm assuming we're not going to sign it with March in it. But have we thought of or kind of walked through what start date we would officially put in the document?
Ma'am, I would like that start date to be today. because I would like to start having conferences and coordinating we have to do slide renewal, meaning a refreshment of the slides to bring them up. We also have to have the vendor on board so that they can be part of the application process for inspecting the slides and also obtaining occupation license from the health department. So even we get them to work as soon as possible. Keep in mind, we're not paying them to work. As soon as they generate the revenue, then we would be getting a portion of that revenue. But I would hope it would be today, if possible, the latest tomorrow, so we can start to move with that company in coordinating the efforts. I will also want to, since you mentioned something about date, the caveat here is that even if tomorrow you said, Sean, everything's done, no more COVID-19, let's get moving, we will not have that facility open on its traditional Memorial Day weekend. Right now, we're projecting the beginning of second week in June. If it was today, you told me to go ahead and open it to the public.
Are those dates in the contract as well? The open the park dates?
No, what we're gonna do is coordinate with that. We're gonna coordinate with that with the services vendor, because keep in mind, we have to involve a few other vendors once we have them, and we also have to involve three different licensing, different agencies for 3 different licensing.
Oh, okay. Okay. No, I was just curious if that date was in there. I would hope it wasn't, but okay, cool.
I have one question.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening.
Good evening, Sean. The roundabout won't have any effect on the aquatic center. Is that correct?
No, ma'am. The roundabout will have an effect on our parking and our traffic flow. Now, I recently got an email from the project manager on site. I believe it was, today is Monday, so it was Friday. They said that they were projecting to be done by the middle of June, but because of different scenarios, that they're looking for the beginning of July to have that. Because remember that roundabout also affects our entry point, because we're moving entry point over about 20 yards, and also doing landscaping and some other infrastructure.
Okay, thank you.
All right, all right. Mr. Palmer, I do have one question for you.
Yes, sir.
I'm sure it's there, I just missed it. Does that include the lifeguards, all that kind of stuff that's out there?
Yes, life safety. I may not use the right term sometimes. It says staffing and personnel, all lifeguards, supervisors, cashiers. It includes all the staff. We will not have any staff around in the operation. Only our staff will go over there to do spot checking to ensure compliance with the contract. But we staff, they're all staff is the vendors. Yes, sir.
Good deal, good deal. Okay, council, any further questions for Mr. De Palma?
Well, just
That
one.
actually brought up a
What will our
question.
staff be doing?
With our staff that we have in the park department, we'll be running the actual department. We're not planning to bring on any staff specifically just to work the aquatic center, because the aquatic center is going to be encompassing with the vendor. And I would always recommend that we should be comfortable with that, because they're also carrying the insurance. So all the liability kind of sits with the vendor before it comes, it's layered. If you think of layers of protection, their insurance, they're kind of accountable for all their personnel. And then that's the first layer. And then we're the second layer behind them.
Will we, Mr. De Palma, will we have a summer program over at Browns Mill or no? And this may not be the time to ask that question, but it's running through my head too, so.
That is a great question. We do have a contract that mayor and council already approved with our youth services vendor, which is the YMCA of South DeKalb. We're in coordination with them, and that time is also very tight. So we hope to be prepared that as soon as this quarantine lifts, that we can turn around and have a summer program within 2.5 weeks up and running. We're also in constant coordination with that vendor. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, that must have been before my time. Okay, thank you, sir.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
Councilwoman Cobble?
When I thought of another question, sorry. When the contracting company is going to be deciding what the entry cost is, right? What the rental cost is for maybe private rentals, also what the concession cost may be. If there was a lot of community pushback about the cost of those things, right? And obviously, it's on the contractor because it's not a city-run facility. How is there anything written in the contract, or how do we discuss something like that may come up where the vendor is kind of deciding all of those costs that have a direct impact on our constituents?
Yes, ma'am. I did think of that, and it is written in the contract that they have to submit those type of items to us for approval. And that is in itself going to be another, I want to say, activity of negotiation, because we want to make sure that it's still viable for the vendor to generate a reasonable income, but at the same time, it's inclusive to the community. So we do have that written into the contract, specifically about, I'll give you an example, the menu for the concession stand has to have a certain amount of healthy options. It has to be open a certain amount of hours, and then the menu has to be reviewed and approved by the Director of Parks and Recreation. So there is something in there to help us regulate and be, I want to say, have the leverage in any kind of negotiations regarding those type of topics.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Did you just say perfect, Councilwoman?
Nope, I did not.
Go ahead and mute her. Somebody mute her, and it's done.
Good, that's good. All right, council, any further? Okay, then council, with your permission, I want to move that we accept the bid for Stonecrest Aquatics for $285,000 for revenue, 20% belonging to the city of Stonecrest, and an estimate of $57,000. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right. Further discussion? Okay. Seeing none, roll call. Councilman Jimmy Clanton.
Who was that?
Councilman Jimmy Clanton.
Aye.
Oh, Councilman Rob Turner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Jasmine Cole.
Aye.
Councilman George Turner.
Aye.
Councilwoman Tammy Grimes.
Aye.
Mayor. Aye. All right, it passes. Okay. Before our adjournment, and I hope you guys are okay with this. I'd like to go around the helm like we usually do for comments. I'll start with you, Councilman Clanton.
I'm good, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
All right. Councilman Rob Turner.
I'm good, sir. Thank you.
All right. Councilwoman Jasmine Cole.
Okay, I do have a quick comment, and it's related to COVID. And so I got a couple of messages from some constituents that were walking and kind of just out getting some vitamin D and some fresh air around the Browns Mill area, the South River. And she sent me some pictures of people that were actually in South River, like kayaking and swimming.
Wow.
So it's prohibited anyway. But especially, right, because it gets contaminated, it can be, but especially now, obviously we don't want people in the water. So I know there may have been a little bit of confusion about the beaches may be coming back open, and maybe, there's just some confusion, but I just wanted to kind of put that out there that that body of water is not supposed to, we're not supposed to enter it either way, right? and that can be very dangerous. So if you know anybody that's doing that, or I wouldn't say, confront them while there, but definitely just, pass the word around that we don't want to encourage that, and it's dangerous. And it's okay to get out and take a walk and keep your 6 feet and keep your mask on or your scarf, whatever you're using, but not to get into the water, especially right there. It's not good.
Got it.
I have something to add to that. But we can go around all the council people and then I can kind of, yeah.
Very good. Councilman George Turner.
Yes. To respond to that as well, without going into any great detail, the South River Watershed Alliance does control part of that access to that river, and I've actually kayaked it myself. But I'll come back to that later on at another time. But I got to talk 2020 census. Folks, we got the time. We're at home. Let's encourage everybody to complete the 2020 census complete count. There's no reason to not do it. It will benefit our community greatly. Matter of fact, as we recover from this virus, or from this pandemic, we are surely going to be asking for additional resources from the federal government. And I can guarantee you it's going to be based on our census numbers. So folks, we need to get those numbers in, talk to folks, count everybody in DeKalb County, really in the whole country. But we're focusing on DeKalb and the city of Stonecrest. Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. Councilwoman Tammy Grimes.
She's muted.
Muted.
Take a mute off.
Who has oh.
It's okay. I don't know what you did, Mayor, but you moved us all around. So
I didn't touch it.
It's okay. You can hear me now. Just want to say, some of you know, some of you don't know, Reggie, my sheriff, did have a cousin / brother to succumb to COVID and was laid to rest on Saturday. So major player in the family. So just keep the family, the Grimes family, still lifted, even though he's no longer here. But we still have the other loneliness to deal with, or they do. Sir.
How old a person?
Oh, he was 70, but hey, he was the bid whiz champion. So, so now, So, and then there were some other people who were at the funeral in Albany. A dad and a daughter. That's my college roommate's family, and then a coworker who had a cousin at that funeral. She passed away. So that just want to say, hey, we have somebody in the numbers, and this is real. And so just want to express to all constituents and everybody in Stonecrest, please be careful, be cautious. It is a time to stay and pray. And so that's what we'll do. And that's it for District 5.
All right, Madam Attorney.
I do want to just reiterate regarding the emergency resolution that we passed today. Anything that's at variance with the governor's order is not applicable, but we don't have anything in there that is at variance. So there's this one point that I tried to bring up earlier that was in regards to the enforcement. Like when businesses are closed, the governor has ordered that, the police cannot go in and actually shut down the businesses, but they can cite those businesses for a misdemeanor for the violation of remaining open. So anything that is not at variance with the governor's order will continue to be just as is. In force and full effect, but anything that is at variance with the governor's order is not going to continue, and that's for all municipalities. So I just wanted to clarify that and see if anyone just had any questions. I'm getting ready to send you all, the mayor and the council, an email just sort of describing the governor's executive order and just talking points on how that applies to the cities.
Good deal. Excellent.
Mayor, can I say something? I know you'll piggyback on this.
Yeah.
I forgot to say something a little bit earlier. I'm sure everybody's aware of the 23 families that were displaced with the fire this past weekend over in District 2 over there by the hospital and over there by Middle Grove High School. So the Red Cross is working with them, but the mayor and I and the mayor of Lithonia and Doreen Carter and Commissioner Lorraine Cochran Johnson are working together to bring the city and the county together so we can see what we could do to help these families. They lost everything. And during this time, it's a very important time that we come out, we help, we work together, we do whatever we can. From the kids, they lost all the food that they were receiving free from the school system. They lost all the clothes, they lost everything. So we're here to help, and I just want to make you aware of that. We'll be talking with you more about this coming up in the next couple of 3 days or so.
Okay.
Councilman Turner, will you please contact me after we get off this call? Both my daughters have just cleaned out their closets.
Oh, man.
Okay, I sure will do. Thank you. Thank you.
Me as well. Mason's got plenty to share, and we need to get rid of. And I'll make a donation as well. So yeah, let us know.
He can take all the kids. I'm sure he can.
Yeah.
But thank you all. I appreciate your gesture of love and giving. Thank you.
Mr. Deputy.
Nothing at this time, Mr. Mayor. Just everybody stay safe, stay at home, and help flatten the curve.
Oh, big statement. Madam Clerk.
Councilmember Rob Turner, if you could send us an email with information on those families, we could send it out to all staff. And while we're at home, I mean, everybody's cleaning out their closets and whatnot, so we may have some stuff for them.
All right, thank you.
Timely. That's a really good point. Mr. Bell.
Just one quick thing, Mr. Mayor and Council. It looks like we have about 20 people watching. So I want to make a quick announcement for those people watching as well as for the rest of the council. This meeting and all future Zoom recorded meetings, stream meetings will be archived on our city's website as we have in the past. We also want everyone to know that you can tune in next week for our regularly scheduled council meeting, as well as work session starting at 6 p.m. on this same YouTube channel. So you may want to subscribe at the little button right below your screen on YouTube so that you can get updates and also view this meeting. And finally, check our social media pages, as well as on Common Ground News's website for instructions on how you can submit public comments for our next council meeting. That's all I have.
Excellent. Ms. Wheeler.
No, sir.
All right. Ms. Venable. All right. All right. First of all, I want to thank certainly Mr. Joyner and team that got this thing up running technically and operationally and made this happen for us today. Appreciate that, Mr. Joyner and Mr. Bell and the rest of you guys. I want to, if with permission with Councilman Rob Turner, kind of piggyback on what is happening with those families buried in the sand over at my house. I got the notification from Councilman Turner, and that put everything in action for us. And what has happened here is that if you all know me, you know this is going to be a part of me. God is moving. That's what's happening here. So on that end of it, Councilman Turner, Rob Turner led the efforts to pull everybody together. Next thing you know, we got the county involved. We have the city of Lithonia itself involved. So what's happening at this end of it, and you guys just gave us some great ideas with regards to just some of the simple stuff that's happening when people are cleaning out their closet. Mayor Reynolds has offered up their funeral home on the corner of Klondike and Main Street in Lithonia, right across from my real estate office, as the staging place for bringing all kinds of products, goods, clothes, that whole particular thing. That's in conjunction with the executive director who communicated with myself and Councilman Turner that those folks will have their hotel vouchers. I mean, they acted fast. And then on top of that, Commissioner Lorraine Cochran Johnson is in the midst of gaining some real hard dollar revenues from a couple of banks that have shown their interest in being able to come to these folks' aid. So they're gonna get back in and get back in quick. I understand, Councilman Turner, also that the complex over there may have another location that can fill some of these vacancies.
Right, they have several complexes that they're looking at placing the people back into. Yes.
Right, right. So they're going to make them whole, and they're going to make them whole fast.
Yes.
Just really a blessing that you have the weight of your public servants all communicating and all cooperating together, you know, to help these folks. So I was just really pleased about that. Matter of fact, Councilman Rob Turner and I, we're going to appear on some advertisements that we're working on right now, so we can put some continued muscle behind this effort. Because specifically, you know, that complex is in Stonecrest, but thank goodness that we have people like our sister city, Lithonia, and the county, and of course the American Red Cross, is all convening together to help this out. Next is Councilman George Turner. With your permission, we're going to put a little bit more muscle behind the census while people are at home. So Mr. Bell and I, we got a couple ideas we're going to come up with to be able to, you know, show folks what the census card looks like, what happens if it's in the mail, maybe do some kind of thing online where I saw a commercial with people, you know, even seniors filling out the census online. So we'll run all that by you. And but now, since folks are parked, there should be no reason why we don't reach that 70, 80, 90% mark. I don't know if you saw it this morning, Councilman Turner. Something came from Larry Johnson where we're like at 43% or something like that. And his thing was, we got to push harder. So we're going to push harder. Let's do it while folks are, you know, there's, you know, folks that are sitting around, so we can, you know, we can make something happen. Any certainly any ideas on your part, of course, Councilman George Turner, we're more than happy to have. Last but not least, oh, wait a minute, I got a couple here that I missed. I guess they're hiding because they're in their skippies. That's Joel Thibodeau and Sean De Palma. Mr. Thibodeau, you have
Hey, also wanted to remind everybody, if their absentee ballot request has come in, please do not, you know, delay in making sure that you cast your ballot. In the primary election, request your absentee ballot so that your voice is heard in the primaries. And also, I just wanted to say that we are continuing to, that's my manager. We are continuing, I'm working with the city clerk to make sure that we remain compliant during this time of electronic exchange, and that we are staying connected and handling the city's business as well as possible.
Good deal. Mr. Palmer.
Mr. Mayor, I just wanted to tell the council and the general public that we'll be hosting a virtual meeting next Tuesday at 7 p.m. and we'll send out the invite. We had to kind of lock that up today. We discussed it on Thursday and Friday with our vendor for the park master plan, but we wanted to keep everybody abreast and also just keep the public engaged. So we're gonna have a findings meeting and just give them an update of where we are, and we'll start advertising. And I believe Ms. Porter will touch base with Mr. Bell tomorrow, or if she hasn't already today. So I mean, next week we'll be advertising the link. It's a virtual meeting, Tuesday the 14th at 7 p.m. sir.
Good deal. Good deal. Okay. If all hearts and minds are clear, I'll take a motion for an adjournment.
Move for adjournment.
All right. Properly moved. Have a second.
Second.
Excellent. All in favor? We can definitely do this one time on video. Say aye.
Aye.
All right, folks. Y'all be safe. Thank you.
Okay, bye-bye.